Here's a shocking statistic that might make your jaw drop. Studies show that up to 70% of people who stop taking Ozempic regain most or all of their lost weight within just 1 year. That's right, 7 out of 10 people who experience dramatic weight loss on this so-called miracle drug find themselves right back where they started, sometimes even heavier than before, with over 12 million Americans now prescribed GLP-1 medications like Ozempic, and social media flooded with before and after transformations. Millions are asking the same terrifying question: what happens when I stop? The answer isn't what the pharmaceutical companies want you to hear, and it's definitely not what influencers are telling their followers. Today, we're diving deep into the real reason people gain weight after stopping Ozempic. And spoiler alert, it's not what you think. This isn't about willpower, motivation, or going back to bad habits. The truth is far more complex and involves your body's intricate biological systems that most people don't even know exist. Before we uncover this medical mystery, I need your help with something. In the comments below, tell me, what's one health trend you've seen everywhere but always felt skeptical about? It could be anything: a supplement, a diet, a workout routine, or even a medical treatment everyone's raving about. Your responses help shape our future myth-busting content. So don't forget to hit subscribe and ring that notification bell so you never miss our latest health investigations. Let's rewind to understand how we got here. The story of Ozempic's weight loss fame didn't start in medical journals or clinical trials. It started on social media. Around 2021, whispers began circulating on platforms like TikTok and Instagram about a diabetes medication that melts fat. Celebrities and influencers started sharing dramatic transformation photos, often without mentioning they were using semaglutide. The myth that emerged was seductive in its simplicity. Take Ozempic, lose weight effortlessly, stop when you reach your goal weight, and maintain your new body forever. This narrative was fueled by cherry-picked success stories, highlight reels of rapid weight loss, and the natural human desire for a quick fix. Media coverage amplified this oversimplification. Headlines screamed about Hollywood's secret weapon and the end of dieting. Even some healthcare providers, caught up in the excitement of finally having an effective obesity treatment, may have undersold the complexity of long-term weight management. The problem? This narrative completely ignored decades of obesity research and the fundamental biological mechanisms that regulate body weight. It treated weight loss as if it were as simple as turning a faucet on and off, when the reality is far more complicated. Now let's examine what the actual science tells us, because the research paints a very different picture than social media success stories. Study 1. The STEP program. The most comprehensive data comes from follow-up studies of the original STEP trials. Researchers tracked participants who achieved significant weight loss on semaglutide and then discontinued the medication. Published in Diabetes, Obesity and Metabolism in 2022, this study followed 327 participants for 52 weeks after stopping treatment. The results were stark. Participants regained an average of 2/3 of their lost weight within 1 year. More concerning, metabolic markers like blood pressure, cholesterol levels, and insulin sensitivity also reverted toward baseline levels. This wasn't a small study with questionable methodology. This was rigorous clinical research with proper controls and measurement protocols. Study 2. The Norwegian Real-World Analysis. A 2023 study from Norway examined real-world data from over 5,000 patients prescribed semaglutide for weight management. Unlike controlled clinical trials, this study looked at what happens in actual medical practice, where people face real-world challenges like insurance changes, side effects, and lifestyle factors. The findings were even more sobering. 68% of patients who discontinued semaglutide gained back 80% or more of their lost weight within 18 months. The researchers noted that weight regain began within just 4 to 6 weeks of stopping the medication, and the rate of regain was remarkably consistent, regardless of how much weight people had initially lost. Study number 3, the metabolic reset research. Perhaps most importantly, a groundbreaking 2023 study published in Nature Medicine examined what happens to metabolism when people stop GLP-1 medications. Using advanced techniques like indirect calorimetry and hormone monitoring, researchers discovered that stopping semaglutide triggers what they termed a metabolic rebound. Within weeks of discontinuation, participants showed increased levels of ghrelin, the hunger hormone, decreased levels of peptide YY, a satiety hormone, and a measurable drop in resting metabolic rate. In simple terms, their bodies became hungrier, less satisfied by food, and burned fewer calories at rest, a perfect storm for weight regain. The study's lead author noted that these changes weren't psychological or behavioral. They were measurable biological adaptations that occurred regardless of participants' knowledge or expectations. Despite this overwhelming scientific evidence, many people still believe they'll be different. They think they can stop Ozempic and maintain their weight loss permanently. Understanding why people believe this requires examining several powerful psychological and social factors. The success story. Bias. Social media algorithms create a distorted reality where success stories dominate. For every person who shares their weight regain struggle, dozens of others are posting their initial dramatic results. This creates a sampling bias where the most visible experiences aren't representative of typical outcomes. Additionally, people who regain weight after stopping Ozempic often feel shame or failure, making them less likely to share their experiences publicly. This silence creates an echo chamber where only positive outcomes seem visible. The misconception about lifestyle changes. Many people believe that if they use Ozempic to lose weight and simultaneously adopt healthy habits, they can maintain their results without the medication. This reasoning seems logical, but ignores fundamental biology. Weight loss, regardless of the method, triggers predictable biological responses designed to restore lost weight. These include increased production of hunger hormones, decreased metabolic rate, and enhanced food reward sensitivity in the brain. These aren't temporary adjustments that disappear once good habits are established. They're persistent adaptations that can last for years. The plateau misunderstanding. Some people interpret reaching a weight plateau while on Ozempic as evidence that their body has reset to a new normal. They assume they can stop the medication at this point and maintain their new weight naturally. This misunderstands how GLP-1 medications work. Semaglutide doesn't reset your body's weight set point. It temporarily overrides the biological signals that would normally drive weight regain. The plateau occurs because the medication's effects have reached their maximum, not because your body has adapted to a new baseline weight. Testimonial power and confirmation bias. Powerful personal testimonials can override statistical evidence in people's minds. When someone hears a compelling story from a friend or influencer who claims to have maintained weight loss after stopping Ozempic, it can seem more convincing than clinical trial data. This is amplified by confirmation bias. People tend to seek out and remember information that confirms what they want to believe. If someone desperately wants to believe they can stop Ozempic permanently, they'll unconsciously focus on success stories while dismissing or forgetting statistics about weight regain. Attempting to maintain weight loss after stopping Ozempic isn't just ineffective, it can be psychologically and physically harmful. Psychological impact. The cycle of dramatic weight loss, followed by inevitable regain, can be devastating for mental health. Many people interpret weight regain as personal failure, leading to shame, guilt, and damaged self-esteem. This can trigger disordered eating patterns, including restrictive dieting, followed by binge episodes. Research shows that weight cycling, repeatedly losing and regaining weight, is associated with increased rates of depression, anxiety, and body dysmorphia. The psychological toll often extends beyond the individual, affecting relationships and overall quality of life. Metabolic consequences. Weight regain after significant loss can leave people metabolically worse off than before they started. Studies indicate that people who cycle through major weight loss and regain may end up with lower muscle mass relative to fat mass, reduced metabolic rate that persists even after weight stabilization, increased insulin resistance, higher levels of inflammatory markers, disrupted hunger and satiety hormone patterns. Physical health risks. The rapid weight regain that typically follows Ozempic discontinuation can stress the cardiovascular system. Blood pressure and cholesterol levels often rebound quickly, sometimes to levels higher than baseline. For people with diabetes, stopping GLP-1 medications can lead to deteriorating blood sugar control. There's also emerging evidence that rapid weight cycling may increase the risk of gallbladder disease, sleep apnea recurrence, and joint problems as the body readjusts to carrying more weight. Social and financial consequences. Many people make significant life changes during their weight loss period. New clothes, increased social activities, dating, career moves. The psychological and social disruption of regaining weight can be profound, leading to social withdrawal and reduced quality of life. Financially, the cycle can be expensive, not just in terms of medication costs, but also the hidden expenses of weight cycling, new clothing purchases, gym memberships, diet programs, and potential medical treatments for regain-related health issues. Given what we now know about the biology of weight regain after stopping Ozempic, what should people actually do? The answer isn't simple, but it's based on science rather than wishful thinking. Approach 1. Long-term medication management. The most evidence-based approach is to view GLP-1 medications like semaglutide as long-term treatments for chronic obesity, similar to how we treat diabetes or high blood pressure. This means working with healthcare providers to find the minimum effective dose for maintenance, understanding that this may be a lifelong treatment, not a temporary intervention, planning financially for long-term medication costs, regular monitoring for side effects and effectiveness. This approach acknowledges obesity as a chronic medical condition rather than a temporary problem that can be fixed and forgotten. Approach 2. Gradual transition with intensive support. For people who absolutely cannot or will not continue medication long-term, a gradual transition approach offers the best chance of minimizing weight regain. Very slow medication tapering over 6 to 12 months, rather than abrupt discontinuation. Intensive behavioral support, including regular counseling, meal planning, and accountability systems. Aggressive lifestyle interventions, including structured exercise programs and stress management. Close medical monitoring with frequent check-ins and early intervention if regain begins. Realistic expectation, setting that some regain is likely despite best efforts. Approach 3. Hybrid intermittent treatment. Some researchers are investigating intermittent GLP-1 treatment protocols where people cycle on and off medication in structured patterns. This approach is still experimental, but early data suggests it might help minimize both long-term side effects and weight regain. This could involve periods of treatment followed by supervised breaks with intensive lifestyle support, then resumption of medication if significant regain occurs. However, this approach requires close medical supervision and isn't appropriate for everyone. Approach 4. Comprehensive lifestyle medicine. Regardless of medication decisions, successful long-term weight management requires addressing the root causes of weight gain, working with registered dietitians to develop sustainable eating patterns, incorporating strength training to preserve muscle mass and metabolic rate, addressing underlying psychological factors like stress, sleep, and emotional eating, building strong social support networks, managing other health conditions that contribute to weight gain. The key is understanding that lifestyle changes alone, while incredibly important for health, are unlikely to maintain the dramatic weight losses achieved with medication. What not to do, equally important, is understanding what doesn't work. Don't attempt to maintain medication-level weight loss through extreme restriction or over-exercise. Don't ignore weight regain, hoping it will stop on its own. Don't cycle through various diet programs or supplements trying to replicate medication effects. Don't isolate yourself or avoid medical care due to shame about regain. Don't view weight regain as moral failure or lack of willpower. Setting realistic expectations. Perhaps most importantly, people need realistic expectations about what's possible. Maintaining 100% of medication-induced weight loss without ongoing treatment isn't realistic for most people, and that's not a personal failing, it's biology. A more realistic goal might be maintaining 25 to 40% of lost weight through lifestyle changes while accepting that some regain is normal and expected. This approach allows people to keep some health benefits while avoiding the psychological trauma of fighting against powerful biological forces. The truth about Ozempic and weight regain isn't what anyone wants to hear, but it's what everyone needs to know. The idea that people can use GLP-1 medications for quick weight loss and then maintain their results indefinitely isn't just unrealistic, it's potentially harmful. The science is clear. For most people, stopping Ozempic leads to significant weight regain within months. This isn't about willpower or going back to bad habits. It's about fundamental biological processes that evolved to protect us from starvation, but now work against us in our modern food environment. This doesn't mean Ozempic or similar medications are bad, quite the opposite. When used appropriately as long-term treatments for chronic obesity, they can be life-changing. The problem isn't the medication, it's the unrealistic expectations about how weight loss and maintenance work. If you found this information valuable, make sure you're subscribed, because next week we're tackling another weight loss myth that's even more pervasive. Why eating 1,200 calories a day will destroy your metabolism faster than you think. We'll dive into the real science behind metabolic damage and why extreme restriction almost always backfires. Until then, remember, your worth isn't determined by a number on a scale, and sustainable health is always more important than rapid results. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.